There's a phrase that has become almost a joke in many workplaces: the meeting that could have been an email. It's the kind of thing people say when they feel like an hour of their day disappeared for no real reason. And sometimes that criticism is fair, but sometimes something else is happening. Before we get into the story, these details have been generalized for privacy. There was a manager I once worked with who had a reputation for scheduling a lot of meetings. Not massive company-wide meetings, just small team meetings, sometimes about projects and updates, an update to an update, sometimes about issues that seem like they could have been explained in a quick email. Naturally, people started joking about it. Someone would see the calendar invite pop up and say something like, "Here comes another meeting that could have been an email." And most of the time, everyone would laugh, because we've all had that experience. It's universal, sitting in a meeting wondering why everyone couldn't just read a message instead. But over time, something interesting started to happen. One day, the manager sent an email explaining a new process. The message was clear, at least it seemed clear. It explained the change, what needed to happen, what the timeline was. But within an hour, questions started appearing. One person interpreted the email one way, and another person understood it completely differently. Someone else thought it meant the opposite of what the manager intended. Soon, the manager's inbox was full of replies asking for clarification. People were confused about what exactly they were supposed to do. And eventually, the manager did something interesting. They scheduled a meeting. The kind of meeting people had previously joked about. During that meeting, the manager walked through the process step by step. People asked questions, and misunderstandings were corrected. And within 15 minutes, the entire situation was clear. Something that had created confusion through email was suddenly simple once people talked through it. There's another situation that happened not long after that. Someone sent an email to a large group. The message was only meant for a handful of people, though, but it included dozens. And then the dreaded thing happened. Someone hit reply all, then someone else did, then someone else added their thoughts. And before long, everyone's inbox was filling with messages that only applied to a few people. People started muting the thread, others ignored it completely, and by the time the conversation ended, most people had stopped paying attention to it, which meant that the actual information that mattered was buried inside dozens of messages. And eventually, the manager stepped in again, and once again, they did the exact same thing. They called a meeting. 10 minutes later, the situation was resolved. Everyone understood what needed to happen, and the thread that had created all the confusion simply disappeared. Moments like that reveal something interesting about communication at work. Emails are very efficient, they're fast, they create a written record, but they also remove tone and they remove context. They remove the ability to immediately clarify misunderstandings, which means something that seems obvious to the person writing the email may not be obvious to the person reading it. And once a misunderstanding starts inside an email thread, it can spread quickly. Because every person reading the message is interpreting it through their own perspective. That doesn't mean every meeting is necessary. I think most people have sat through meetings that felt very unnecessary. Meetings that have lasted far longer than they needed to. Meetings where very little actual happened. But it also explains why some managers rely on them more than others. Because sometimes a short conversation can prevent hours of confusion, especially when multiple people are involved in the same process. Communication in organizations often involves a trade off. Emails are efficient, meetings are clearer, and sometimes managers choose clarity over efficiency, even if it means interrupting everyone's day for a short conversation. So it raises an interesting question. When a manager schedules a meeting that feels unnecessary, is it always wasted time? Or are they sometimes trying to prevent misunderstandings that emails alone can't resolve? And how often do the conversations that feel inefficient in the moment actually prevent bigger problems later?